Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So recently I was watching a Bugs Writer video. Shout out to Bugs Writer, by the way. You should totally check out his channel. So I was watching a video where he was basically adding a visitor counter to his website, but without using any JavaScript or any external services. What he did was basically he checked his Nginx access logs to get individual IPs and then get unique IPs from that and use that as a counter. So that looks something like this. So this is my server and the Nginx access logs look something like this, where you have the IP. So on my server, I don't have everything that is proxied through Nginx because I have a local laptop that I'm using as a server, so I need Cloudflare to proxy and tunnel everything. So that made me wonder that I should also, have some kind of a logging system in my website or in my application itself, right? So I did some Googling, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to create a very simple, very basic, very custom logging system for your app. So basically, there are two main things that you need to decide on for logging. Also, technically, these are optional. Even these two are optional. But I would strongly suggest that these should be decided before you start coding anything. So the first is log format. So that is basically what will be the content of your log. So mostly there will be a level. So if you have just one log, like a log for everything basically, I suggest this having this level wherein it basically says what kind of a log message it is. So say for example a debug message or a error message. If you're handling, it's like a console.log but actual logging, something like that. In my particular app that I coded a logging system today, I didn't have this level in my log format. That is because I am using separate log files. That is another possibility. The other thing which I strongly recommend you have is IP, because the main reason of logging, at least for me, is getting the client's IP address. Another would be timestamp. This also I strongly recommend, because you need to know when a particular log was inserted. Like if you say for example have an error log, so you need to know when you got that error, so that you can troubleshoot later. Like say for example, you can figure out, oh yeah, my server was down that time, or my backend rather was down, that's why I had this error. I don't know how backend would be down, but then you still have logging, but whatever. And then the main content. So this content is kind of custom, depending on whatever you want to put in. You can have what particular page they are on of your website. You can have what browser they are on, if you want to collect that kind of data, or what device they are on basically. So if you have, say for example, an e-commerce store, and you want to know are you getting more of your sales via the mobile devices or via a PC, are people using PCs more to buy through your website? So then you can basically log out the device information. So that is all about log format. Again, because we are designing a very basic logging system, everything is up to you basically, and everything is optional technically. The other main thing is log rotation. So I asked ChatGPT a little bit and got to know that Nginx does not provide any kind of log rotation or log deletion by deletion. Is that a word? Yeah, deletion by default. I mean, you have the option to add it, but it's not there by default, which is a very, very bad idea if you're creating a logging system. Because if you don't have log rotation, what basically happens is your log file can keep on increasing in size indefinitely, basically until you are logging stuff. and that can lead to issues like having storage issues on your server. Plus it is also hard to like check the logs. Then if you want to find something that happened like uh, quite some time ago, then it would be really difficult for you to figure out what like what part of the log to look at. So log rotation refers to how you're updating the log. For my Yeah, there are two main aspects to this. One is size. So based on the size of your file, you can have, so like if your file reaches a certain particular size, you can just start logging into a new file. And ideally this is also when you should archive or kind of compress your older log file so that you reduce your storage even more, because then ideally you would be referring to your new log file for immediate logs, and in case you want to access older logs, you can just uncompress the older log file and then check out the logs that way. And the other is based on count. So this is the system that I use for my application, and it's way easier to implement, at least in my opinion, than the size thingy. So basically I just have a max entry size of 500. So after 500 log entries, what happens is the oldest entry in my log gets deleted and then a new one can be added. So at any given point of time, there is no more than 500 entries in my log, and therefore I only have one log file. And this is okay for my use case because my application isn't very dependent on logging. I just wanted to know what IPs, or rather what countries my website is being used in. So yeah, that was it about the main two things, format and rotation. The other optional things is log backups. So like I mentioned in log rotation, the compressed files that you have, you can create archives and you can back those up either locally or on like a S3 storage bucket or something like that. That is again up to you. It's optional and you should know how to do that if you plan to do that. And the third one, which I haven't seen a lot, and I personally wouldn't do that, but again, it is a way of, it is a option out there, that is sorry, my bad, I can't speak today. Log obfuscation. So that basically means wherein you kind of encrypt, not exactly encrypt, but you obfuscate your log content so that in case your servers get breached and your data gets hacked and your log files are exposed to the hacker, they don't know how to kind of decrypt it or read it normally. So this would only scenario I can see this is where you're logging details like IP, obviously customer IPs. You don't want to expose the IPs of your customers. In that case you would use this, but again this is up to you on what kind of a security you want. But again, one thing to keep in mind is if you're using this, you will also need to kind of decrypt the log before reading it. So I would suggest using this only if you're not accessing logs frequently. And also there are types of logs that also depends on you. Like for my particular application, I had two types. One was access and one was upload log. So basically my application was a temporary file sharing service wherein users could upload files and get a link, and then they could share that link with their friends and they would get the file from that link. So my upload log just was a log of what people are uploading, and my access log was a log of what IPs are accessing particular endpoints in my website. So I would not obfuscate the access log because that's not sensitive data in my opinion, but I would obfuscate the upload log if I were to, because I wouldn't want hackers knowing what files were uploaded on my server or what my customers are uploading on my server. Yeah, but getting to the main part, getting to the code now, it's very simple. I've implemented it in Python, but you can basically translate this to JavaScript or anything. Basically the main thing that I would say you need is a server based like a dynamic web app, like a Flask application, Fast API, or like a Node.js server running for your backend. Logging ideally would happen in the backend. So a Node.js server running, or if you have like a Next.js project, you can use that. If your application is static and you still want logging of some kind, I would suggest using Nginx to serve your static files, and then just using the Nginx log to basically create your own log. So kind of what I mean by this is I created a small shell script that bans any bot crawling on my Nginx server for WordPress content, because I don't use WordPress on my server. So I'll just show you that script. So it's basically like this. It has a blocked IP files where it reads the Nginx access log. The only issue with this is you will have to like keep on running this particular script in the background. So you still require like kind of like a continuously running script in order for logging. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Yeah, getting to the code. For this particular application, like I mentioned, it's a file sharing application. So I have two logs. I have the log files here in a variable. I have the max log entries because I use count as my log rotation variable. And then coming to log message, this is the function log message. So it takes in two inputs. One is the log file, like which file you want to log into, and the content. So the first thing is I create an empty array, and this is now particular for my particular method, wherein you have like count as your variable for log rotation. Then if that particular log file exists, then read it, and then for each line you basically create an array out of the lines. Then you append your new content into that array, so you still haven't written it to the log file. If your length of entries, so basically your number of log entries, is greater than your maximum, then you pop. So that is, you delete the oldest line or like the topmost line, and then you write your array as lines. Basically, it's literally that simple. Now if I show you my code, by the way, check this project out on GitHub or on the website. I'll show you the link. It's share.nesar.in. The best part about it is you can use CLI. Let me do some PR here. Wait, I'll open the GitHub. So you can read through this, you can contribute, and you can self-host it also. This is how you curl-f. This, you can use like this curl command to share files directly from the terminal. I also have a bash script to do all of this immediately, like directly, without having to type the entire link thingy. But yeah, this is the website. Basically, users can here and then they can delete after. Just check out the project. So yeah, log content. So this is my uploading wala part. So the log content, I'm just basically having client IP and then space. I'm using space because then none of my other contents or my log format does not contain spaces, because my client IP won't contain spaces. Obviously, file name won't contain spaces, because the way I've like coded my application, I need a file name to be a proper file name without spaces, because I'm using that as my link. So a URL can't contain spaces, so that makes sense. And my timestamp. So here you can see what date time format I'm using, and I'm not using any spaces. So I've used spaces to separate out each field of my log content, so that later on I can just use the cut command in Linux to cat out the content and check out my logs that way. And yeah, I'm just calling the function and I'm passing in the upload log file and the log content. And same with the access log. Here you can see client IP link. So this is what endpoints are basically using, and timestamp. And then I'm passing the access log file and the log content in my log message. Now the most important thing about this is, mostly you'll need to get this particular header, that is X forwarded for, in case you're hosting it on like say Nginx or like Flask or Cloudflare, wherein you're hosting it through a proxy. Basically, when I didn't do this and when I directly used client IP equal to request.remote address, that just gave me my local host like address as my IP. So yeah, I just have this. Just remember this point, you'll need this header X forwarded for, and it also works when people are accessing my web app through the curl command. So I literally checked that. And in case you want to see how that looks, I can show you that also. I can just cat out the log. I can show you the access log. So here you can see. So these are probably bots because I don't have a robot.txt, and this is most likely a bot that is accessed. So this is how I can figure out who has accessed what. And I think this is my IP. Yeah, this is my IP. IPv6. And same way, I also have an upload log, upload.log, and I've only uploaded one thing, so you can see that. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Make sure to comment something that I've missed or maybe you want to see in the upcoming videos. And check out Bugs Writer on YouTube. He's a Linux god. Yeah, I hope this video helped you. See you guys soon. Bye bye.